My fiancé made a split-second decision that cost me a year of my life, and I'm furious. Me, 26 female, my fiancé, 30 male, and his son, 5 years old, were out getting Chipotle on March 14th. On the way home, we reached a busy intersection with a blinking yellow light. My fiancé was driving, and I could tell that he was about to go. I saw a car coming fast, and I very clearly told him to wait until the light was green. I don't know if he didn't hear me, didn't take me seriously, or just ignored me, but he kept driving forward anyway, and we got T-boned by a car going 50 miles per hour. Everyone else walked away fine, including his son, thank God, but I was crushed. I ended up with 2 full breaks in my pelvis, 2 fractures in my tailbone, fractures in my L4 and L5 vertebrae, and a fractured sternum. I was, and still am, in so much pain I can't even explain it. I wouldn't wish this kind of pain on anyone. I was rushed to the ER where everything was a complete blur, except the trauma. I started having intense flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares about the crash and the pain. I had to undergo surgery where 2 7-inch steel screws were inserted into my pelvis. At the hospital, they gave me a back brace that was way too big for me. The nurses and PTs even admitted that they didn't measure and just guessed my size. Even when we told them that it was too big, they didn't do anything about it. And despite this, they expected me to stand up and move around wearing it. The brace did nothing for support. Moving in it felt like my spine and pelvis were being ripped apart. The pain I was in trying to follow their orders to stand and walk was inhumane. All I remember from those days is pain, frustration, fear, and this overwhelming sense of helplessness. After about a week, I was transferred to a physical rehabilitation center. I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to bathe, I didn't want to move. I was so depressed and in so much pain that even thinking about shifting in bed made me cry. I had to depend on strangers for the most basic things: going to the bathroom, bathing, and even feeding myself. As someone who has always been independent, it was utterly humiliating and devastating. I'm home now, but my recovery is far from over. Doctors and physical therapists all told me the same thing. You have the second worst kind of break anyone can experience. You'll need at least a year to recover, if not longer. You can't put weight on your leg for 3 months, no bending, no twisting, and even after the 3 months, it'll be a very slow process. And that's the part that's eating me alive, because before this, I was finally getting my life together. I was working on my health, I was eating right, doing CrossFit regularly, and getting stronger, and finally meeting people and socializing. I had just gone back to college. I was finally building structure into my life after being recently diagnosed with ADHD. And now? It's all on hold. I can't work out, I can't leave the house unless it's for a doctor's appointment, I can't do anything by myself, and it feels like I lost everything that I was working so hard to build. And even though my fiancé has been supportive throughout all of this and is helping taking care of me, I'm so angry at him. I told him, I warned him, I said don't go, wait. And when I asked him why he kept going, he just said, I don't know. And that I don't know is now costing me an entire year of my life, maybe more. And I'm the one who's paying for it every single day. So yeah, I just needed to get this off my chest. I feel trapped in my own body. I feel like I'm grieving the life that I could have had this year. I feel angry, sad, helpless, and I'm just trying to make sense of it all, but mostly, I just want my life back. I know this is temporary, I know that I'll eventually recover, but losing a year of my life, my sense of normalcy, and my peace of mind is really, really rough. If anyone has any advice on how I can work on this, or maybe even share their own experiences similar to this one, I would greatly appreciate it. In the comments, was everyone in the car wearing seatbelts? OP says, yes, everyone was wearing a seatbelt. One Boxer Mum says, that would be a deal breaker for me. That's so funny out of context. Yeah, everyone was wearing a seatbelt. That's a deal breaker for me. The Woman S says, I have a permanent spinal injury. I can move and walk just fine on the good days, but on the bad days, I need crutches just to go to the loo. I am so sorry to say this, but this is not just a year. This is a lifetime injury now that you are going to have to deal with. You know what got me through mine? What keeps me going? Knowing that I can trust the people around me, good days or bad. Please seriously think about if 5 or 10 years down the line, will you be able to trust your fiancé, or is the distrust and anger, which you have every right to feel, going to fester inside you and make those bad days 100 times worse when you see him? Now this is the most important part. You will get through this. I absolutely believe that. I remember the day that I accepted that I was going to get through it because I was able to walk down to the tattoo shop near me, stand in line for 4 hours, and get a Friday the 13th tattoo to celebrate just being able to walk. You have a long road ahead of you, sister. Just know that you aren't alone. And Vegetable Cod says, OP, you should start seeing a therapist, maybe over Zoom first, and discuss this. Maybe start journaling as well. You should definitely talk with someone about this anger that you have towards your fiancé, and you may want to do couples counseling. I agree with Boxer Mom. I'd be done, because that was a really reckless move that could have killed everyone, and his response of, I don't know, doesn't cut it for me. Yeah, I'm on board with Vegetable Cod in this instance. You don't just say, I don't know, to something like that. You've got to explain yourself, and you've got to hold yourself accountable for it. If you can't be honest with OP after you debilitated her, then what are you doing? Why are you with this person? Have you no shame, OP's boyfriend? You can't just I don't know your way through life and expect everything to go well for you. You gotta have some more humility and have some more critical thinking skills instead of just saying, it is what it is, man. I guess I just do things sometimes. That just rubs me the wrong way. And as much as it's, sad to say, I don't know what to say to OP in this instance. I do hope that you heal, OP. I do hope that one day life is better. But as it stands, I'm not convinced this relationship can or should continue after that. He doesn't sound like he's been the most supportive person in the world at all. And now, onto the update. I honestly didn't expect my post to receive this much attention. I was just venting my thoughts and emotions in the moment as I'm still going through the stages of grief. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, advice, and support regarding my situation. I want to clear up a few things and provide some additional context, including my fiancé's perspective on why he didn't stop. To start, for those wondering about where the accident happened, since the rules around blinking yellow lights vary, it took place in Texas, within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's all I'll share location-wise for privacy reasons. Next, a lot of people have asked whether my fiancé has shown remorse and how he's been supporting me since the accident. The answer is yes, he's been devastated. He has apologized to me multiple times, at the crash site, in the hospital, during rehab, and at home. He's also been having panic attacks himself as of lately, something that he's never experienced prior to the accident. There was one moment where he called me panicking because he couldn't find his truck keys and desperately wanted to come see me to make sure that I'm doing okay. My mum had to drive over to him to calm him down and help. He also continued to visit me frequently in the hospital and at the rehab center, and he's been advocating for me when I had issues, such as the back brace I was given, which was clearly too large. Side note, despite multiple people from my family, fiancé, and even the PTs mentioning it, the hospital staff did not replace it. It wasn't until I called the hospital a week later, frustrated, that they finally took action. I had to put on my Karen voice and explain that their failure to properly size the brace was actively hindering my recovery. Eventually, I got a new one in a smaller size. Fun fact, the brace only comes in 2 sizes, small/medium and large/extra large. I'll let you guess which one they gave me. My fiancé has also been helping me understand the insurance claim process. From what we know, I may be looking at around $100,000. Additionally, at home, he's made sure that I have what I need to recover. He just bought me a $300 plus bed frame that moves up and down similarly to the hospital beds that I was used to because I can't move up and down as normally without feeling pain or being at the risk of re-breaking something. He's also been cooking for me and for my visiting family. helping me clean up, assisting with daily tasks, and has made it clear that he doesn't expect me to lift a finger and only wants me to focus on healing. He's even told me how he's going to halt his plans on expanding his side business so that he can spend more time tending to me during my recovery. With this said, I've seen a lot of comments saying that I should leave him or even sue him, calling him arrogant or careless. I understand those reactions. But looking back, I would have to admit that this was an honest mistake that anyone could make at any time of the day at any point of time. A bad mistake? Yes, but nonetheless, simple human error at the end of the day. I'm just angry that it's happened to me. But that's something that I'll have to work through on my own. With the "I don't know" reply that he had given me a week earlier, I will admit that he may have still been experiencing shock or trauma, and his mind seemed to have been drawing a blank when I had asked him, because I asked him this same question today. Why didn't you stop when I told you to? He told me he thought the gap between us and the oncoming car was big enough to make it. He didn't realize how close it actually was. He also said that he didn't hear me say stop until it was too late, at which point we were already hit. I told him that I said it much earlier, and he admitted that he just didn't hear me. He feels horrible. He's told me every time he approaches a yellow light while driving now, he reminds himself of what happened and how stupid he feels for not being more careful that night. I'm not excusing what happened. It was traumatic, but I do believe he's learning from it and taking accountability for everything as best as he can. I'm just the angry, bitter one that is needing to work through my emotions and grief that I'm experiencing because of the accident. That said, I've resumed individual therapy. Weekly now instead of monthly, and I had my first session since the accident as of yesterday, and my fiancé and I will be attending couples counseling together. Yes, I plan on staying with him. I know a lot of you are coming from a place of concern and care, and I truly appreciate that. At the same time, I want to gently remind everyone that I'm a real person going through a very real and painful experience. What I shared was raw and vulnerable, not a call to be judged or attacked. It's okay to disagree with how I'm choosing to move forward, but please remember that I'm the one living this day to day. Healing, both physical and emotional, isn't linear, and I'm doing the best I can. Thank you again for the overwhelming response. I'm reading as many comments as I can, even if I can't reply to everyone. Please continue to take care of yourselves and those you love. Hold anyone you care about closely to you, because when you least expect it, life can change in an instant. In the comments, not here to pass judgment on you or your fiancé, but I wanted to ask you one question I don't think I've seen. How has his son been since the accident? Obviously physically unharmed, but has anything changed that you've observed from him seeing you undergo all of this pain in rehab, or possibly seeing his dad suffer any panic attacks? I hope all is well with you and your family, sending nothing but positive vibes. OP replies, his son has seen me at the wreck and hasn't seen me since. Not at the hospital, not at the rehab center, and not back at home. He lives with his mother. He has asked if I'm okay, and I did get to speak on the phone with him briefly. For him personally, he had one nightmare and was worried about me for a few days in the first few days after the wreck, but since then, my understanding is that he's back to his bubbly self and is enjoying the extra attention from friends and family members as they are giving him surprise gifts and taking him out to his favorite restaurant. Albanian Artie says, this is just an incredibly sad situation. Yeah, holy hell. Sure, not yielding to a flashing yellow properly is silly, but all of the people saying to leave him and sue him have to be heartless. Obviously, from the perspective of the furious victim of a car crash that she tried to prevent, the cause of the crash is going to be portrayed in a heated way. Maniacal Shen says, this story is confusing to me as a Marylander. Blinking yellow means you have the right of way if you're going straight. The cross direction always has a blinking red that they're supposed to treat as a stop sign. Blinking yellows pretty much only occur at fire stations and intersections that get too quiet to justify proper light cycles at night. So to me, this reads like she should sue the life out of whoever she saw careening at a blinking red at 50 miles per hour. No legal fault to the fiancé. But in Texas, blinking yellow means yield? Added to add, apparently the fiancé was turning. I was confused because the poster literally said of her fiancé, but he kept driving forward anyway and mentioned no turns or arrows. But it looks like he was in the left turn lane when folks going straight had a green light, looking at a blinking yellow arrow, and he misjudged when to go. Completely his fault, and though I'm not impressed with the other driver, sounds like the traffic is way too fast to be taking those chances. Venora the Barbarian says, I coincidentally was born and raised in MD and now live in Texas. And yeah, Texas driving is wild. The flashing yellow she's talking about is for turning across traffic. It's basically, don't necessarily stop, but definitely look before you turn because that oncoming traffic has right of way. My list of complaints on how Texans can handle turn lanes is longer than a CVS receipt and includes driver behavior as well as actual traffic laws. But that oncoming car was looking at a green light. Judge Jury X78 says, that commenter who said that it's not a year, it's lifelong or whatever, my best friend had similar injuries in a car accident at 19. We're in our 40s now. She is still suffering. I really hope OP's situation is different. Just a tragic series of events there, and I know that I was very harsh in my criticisms before because I didn't have the full story, but that's because I didn't have the full story, so obviously I'm going to react that way when OP is ranting. It does appear, though, that as they talked more, the answer became more than I don't know. It was I didn't hear you. And that was a very costly mistake. I still blame him for the accident. At the end of the day, he was the one putting his fiancée and his 5-year-old child in harm's way by not paying attention to the road. From my understanding now, that driver that was careening at 50 miles an hour down the road had a green light. How are they supposed to know with it? Are they supposed to be watching for some maniac turning left into their lane when they have a green? I'm just venting. Life's not fair. What an incredibly tragic and unfortunate series of events. I'm sad this had to happen, but I hope you two are able to continue working on this together, OP, and that life gets better in some way, somehow. Thank you for your story, and thank you for your warnings of Texas and its funny little traffic laws. Our next post is by user Tally Enjoyer, and it says, I'm going to ask the woman at the store next door out on Monday, and I'm nervous for the first time since I was a teenager. I work IT for a few stores in the area. Next to my main office is a Bath & Body Works, and the most beautiful woman that I've ever met works there. I went in for the first time a few weeks ago to get my mum a gift, and the woman that helped me find stuff for her was gorgeous. My knees almost buckled when we accidentally made arm-to-arm contact moving through the store. I don't know if it was her enchanting me or sensory overload from all the candles and lotion, probably a bit of both. We've run into each other a few times since then and made small talk outside. She is so easy to talk to and so funny. Her laugh makes me wish that I were funnier so I could hear it more, like music to my ears. Could be hopeful thinking, but I get the feeling that she might be into me too. So on Monday, I'm planning on stopping by and asking her if she'd like to go out for a coffee or something. I haven't been this nervous asking someone out since I was in high school over a decade ago. I won't be asking her out while she's working, just putting this here because it's almost every comment that I'm getting at this point. In the comments, the third strike says, best of luck. Just remember the worst that can happen is that she says no, and you go on with your day. OP says, I've had my fair share of rejections. A no would suck, but I'd survive. I'm hoping that my read on her is accurate, and I have a shot though. Tenedra says, I highly recommend making your pitch and then giving her your phone number and leaving, rather than putting her on the spot to give a response in the moment. She's there to work, not to get hit on, and being in customer service where you're required to be nice to people can make things complicated. I'm not saying she won't be interested, and I'm rooting for you, but this would make her more comfortable. OP says, she won't be at work when I ask her out. Most of our interactions have been after her or both of us were off the clock. Rockpool Creator says, how much have you spoken to her? Have you even asked her if she has a family? What she does with her free time? Just because a woman hasn't got a ring on it doesn't mean she hasn't got someone. I've been engaged for 6 years and barely wear my engagement ring. Women who work in shops already have to deal with a lot of men hitting on them, mainly because they're at work and are being friendly because they're in a customer service mode. At least you're not asking her at work, but please check that she's single if you haven't already before asking. OP says, honest question, did I describe these interactions in a way that makes me sound like some creep following a poor woman around just because she was nice to me in a shop once? I wanted to get this off my chest because I'm a bit nervous about asking her out, but this comment, and a few others like it, are really depressing. And to somewhat answer your questions, I know a bit about her family in the area, and we've shared some of what we do in our free time together. None of that involved her mentioning a significant other of any kind. She has initiated these interactions each time. I say go for it then, If she hasn't made it clear that she has a partner or there is anyone else that she is seeing in her life, that to me sounds like you've got the green light to go and ask her out somehow, some way. Just keep up the same interactions you have and find a place in that conversation to bring it up some way. Might as well shoot your shot before someone else does, I reckon. And now, onto the update. I posted here to shake off my nerves about asking someone out that worked next door to where I work. Yesterday, I planned on asking her out to coffee. I got busy and it slipped my mind though. Luckily, she stopped by to talk anyway. I was loading up the company van yesterday for today's tickets when she came over to chat while I worked. Mostly small talk while I loaded boxes and did my paperwork. She was on her way to her car to head home when she stopped by, so before she left, I asked if she'd be interested in grabbing a coffee sometime, and she countered with an offer to go try out the ice cream place down the road when I was done for the day. She came back when my shift was over, and we met for milkshakes and sat around talking for a good while. I was nervous at first, but she's remarkably easy to talk to. We talked about our families, hobbies, jobs, and had a rather passionate debate on the best trails to walk in the area. So I proposed an outing this weekend to get our steps in and figure out who is right. Numbers have been shared, and even though she's off today and I don't get to see her, we've been texting a bit. Pretty boring update, I'm sure, but that's it. February Tide says, milkshakes over coffee. This gal is winning. Bodacious Vermin says, boring update? Nah, this is all good and normal. You offered a future coffee, and she countered with an immediate ice cream. Then it became a shake and long convo with a follow-up long-duration hike. You got this. Have fun. Sounds like she was very interested from the get-go. Going out of her way to walk over and say hi to him before she goes to her car, and then immediately countering for a same-day ice cream date. Absolutely. And she really liked and trusted him to agree to a date doing something isolated like hiking. He makes her feel safe. Am I the asshole here? My dad crashed my car and my parents won't let me use theirs. I, 21 male, have been living at my parents' house due to recent life events. We have a pretty good relationship, but of course, we have our moments. Well, about a week ago, my mum was at work and my dad needed to run by the store. He couldn't wait until mum got back, so he asked to borrow my car. I agreed to let him have it, as I didn't have anything that I needed to do right then. Well, about 40 minutes later, I get a call from him saying that he had been in an accident. Of course, that scared the shit out of me, and I made sure that he was okay first. He said he was fine and explained the accident. Long story short, he ran a stop sign and smacked straight ahead into another vehicle. Luckily, no one got seriously injured, except my car. It's busted up pretty bad. Without going into too much detail, the bumpers, headlights, hood, and parts of the engine are messed up. I got my car in the shop, and I'm still waiting on the estimated time that it will take for me to get it back. Until then, though, I need a car to get to and from work, and that's where the problem is. See, me and my mum have different work schedules, but similar enough to where I could see us working something out. She usually goes in an hour earlier than me and gets off about 30 minutes before me. I figured that I could drop her off, go to work, and then pick her up. Well, my mum hates that idea. She says that she doesn't want to have to rely on me to pick her up or get her to work on time. She said since she wasn't involved in the accident, she shouldn't be affected by the consequences. I told her it would just be until I got my car back, but she didn't care. I was expecting my dad to back me up, seeing as he's the reason that I got into this mess. But instead, he just agreed with her and said that I should find a different way. But the problem is, there is no different way. There's no good public transportation system in our town, and we live about 45 minutes away from where I work. My dad suggested that I biked to work, which I quickly shut down. I'd rather not have to bike all the way to and from work every day when we could literally just share a car. I told them that it was unfair for them not to let me use their car since Dad crashed mine. Then they said that I was just being ungrateful as they were already putting a roof over my head and that I shouldn't expect much more from them. I have no idea why they even thought that I was being ungrateful. All I'm saying is, why should I choose a harder, more time-consuming way to work when there is an easier option? Am I being unreasonable? I feel like at the least, Dad could convince Mum to let me use their car since this is his fault. But instead, he's just sitting there agreeing with everything that she says. I would ask my siblings to chime in on this, but knowing them, they'll just agree with my parents. So am I the arsehole here? In the comments, Optimal Side says, not the arsehole. Your dad caused the situation, he should be fixing it, bottom line. If that means letting you borrow the car, you should have priority because he's at fault for your original transportation. I'm not a fan of children suing their parents usually, except in specific circumstances. I think OP finds himself in one such circumstance. If the dad isn't covering the damage to the car, then 100% I agree with you. Your mum is being totally unreasonable. Tell your dad that he needs to pay for you to Uber and Lyft to work and back if he can't convince your mum to share their car with you. He created this problem and he needs to fix it. Telling you to ride a bike is ridiculous and unacceptable. Was there a police report for the accident? And did you notify your insurance company and your father's insurance company? Some insurance policies will pay something towards a rental, and some car rental companies have lower rates for people getting their cars fixed. And what are you going to do when you get the estimate for repairs? OP did not answer any of those questions, but in a situation like this, that's pretty pertinent to know that. I'm going to assume that OP did read all these comments and has cooked something up in the back of their mind as to how to deal with this situation. But honestly, what a kick in the balls that Dad goes and crashes the car. And I'm going to guess that he's not paying for the car repair. I know assumptions make an ass out of you and me. But if he's going so far as to threaten OP with, oh, I'm putting a roof over your head, and I'm going to back my very much unreasonable wife in this instance, then I think it's fair to assume that he's not paying for the repair. And yeah, maybe you do have to threaten suing your parents in this instance, but there's no easy, good solution to any of this. I really doubt he's going to want to pay for an Uber and Lyft as well. Like, yes, the onus is on him to fix this situation, but I imagine if you press them any further on this, they've already been such assholes, they're probably going to threaten to kick you out and say, you're being unreasonable making all these demands. We don't have to look after you anymore, so get out. And then all your siblings are going to agree with them. Please just tell me this was a nightmare you had and not like a real situation, OP, please? And now, onto the update, titled, Am I the Arsehole Here? My parents kicked me out of the house with no warning. For a bit of backstory, I've been living with my parents due to some recent life events. About a month ago, I made a post here talking about how my dad crashed my car and my mum refused to let me use theirs for my commute to work. Long story short, my parents ended up paying for the expenses to have my car fixed. We did also end up sharing a car until I had mine back. After that, I thought that it was all done and over. My mum made a comment about it here and there, but it didn't seem to seriously bother her. Until about a week and a half ago, she demanded that I pay them all the money for my car expense back. She said that it wasn't fair that she lost money to an accident that she didn't cause, and I think that's fair, but I reminded her that I didn't cause it either. Dad caused the accident, and I told her that I'm sorry that it ended up affecting her as well, but that didn't change the fact that my car had to be fixed, and it was Dad's responsibility. She got really mad at that and started on a rant about how it was unfair and that I was using them for money, and what was my dad's response to all of this? He just agreed with her. I ended up just telling her what I've already said because there was honestly nothing else to say. She's been very upset with me since then, but she never mentioned any possibility of kicking me out. So imagine my surprise a couple of days ago when I came home to all of my stuff being outside of the house, in boxes, literally on the curb. I was honestly shocked and mad about this, and I immediately went in the house to question my parents about this. My mum said that she was tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. My dad just repeated what my mum said, but in a kinder way because I guess he thought she was being harsh. I couldn't believe it. I asked her to explain how I have been being ungrateful, and she responded by basically saying that we raised you. We went back and forth for a bit, and we were both pretty mad at each other. Then my mum told me to leave the house or else she would call the police on me. I have no idea if anything actually would have came of that situation, but at that point, I was so confused and angry that I just went outside and called around to someone that I was able to stay with. I ended up sleeping at a friend's house. It's been a couple of days now, and siblings have both been calling me. I guess my parents must have told them what had happened. I'm assuming it was specifically my mum bad-talking me to them. My sister agrees with my mum and says that I should have just paid the money back. My brother agrees that it was unfair for them to kick me out, but also says that I should have just paid the money back. My dad has also been trying to reach out to me, but honestly I've been too mad to pick up the phone for him. I'm just so shocked by this whole situation. I wouldn't say me and my parents' relationship has always been easy street, but it's never been this bad. I honestly thought we were good until all of this. The worst part is, I was planning to move out and rent an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in 2 months. My parents knew that and still decided to do this. I'm just so confused, and I don't understand where they're coming from. I get they raised me and took care of me and all that, but I just feel like it doesn't give them the right to do this all of a sudden. I don't think that I did anything wrong, so honestly, am I the asshole here in this situation? In the comments, Humble Finish says, "Not the asshole. Your dad is not accepting responsibility for what he did. He's hiding behind your mum's argument that she didn't cause this, which is kinda wrong. If it was a stranger's car that he crashed and he had to pay, and they used it for any assets your dad owns, including some that are jointly owned by your mum, that would also be fair game. As she is married to him, then they are one unit in the eyes of some institutions. Either way, I'm sorry that you're going through this, and I'm glad you had a friend that you can count on and also a place to move to in a few months. Make sure you have all of your important documents and anything else so that if you want to speak to them again, it is on your own terms. Not the asshole. Your dad crashed that car, not you. Your parents overreacted by kicking you out with no warning, especially when you were already planning to move soon. You didn't deserve that. You're not responsible for the accident, so there's no way you're responsible for the money. It's fine if they want you to move out, but that's not the way to do it. Do your best, find a place, live your life, and when they come crawling back, tell them to piss off. Warn your siblings that they'll probably do the same to them. OP replies, I probably should have said this in the post, but my siblings are older than me. My sister is in her late 20s, and my brother in his early 30s. They are already well off and out of the house. I honestly think that's another point of tension with my mum, because right now, in her own words, I'm the only one of her kids that is failing at life. Muted Inspector replies, at 21? Such a disgusting frame of mind. Both of your parents are trash people. I'm sorry if that stings, but screw them. No one has failed at life at 21. Your parents have treated you badly. Good luck, rise above them, and never look back. Your life is just starting at 21. Your parents comparing you to your siblings that have 10 years or more on you of life experience, employment, and everything else is genuinely disgusting. For them to both be saying that you failed at life is ridiculous. Oh look, yeah, you just got out the gates, you're just starting to get involved in everything, and you're not in the same place as your 33-year-old brother, so you're failing at life. You're an embarrassment, you're a disgrace. You don't have a house, kids, and a partner of 10 years. Look at you, you little failure. And of course, your dad is right behind her, agreeing with everything because he has no spine. He's a little parasite that's attached to her. Honestly, at this point, OP, the way to deal with people like this is to completely cut them out of your life. Go no contact with your parents for a significant amount of time. No good can come out of staying in contact with them any longer right now. Maybe in the future when they learn their lesson, if they learn their lesson, you can come back to them, but right now, absolutely cut them off. They have earned it. And now, onto the latest update. Some things have happened since my last post. I calmed down a bit and decided to finally answer one of my dad's calls. He started talking about how afraid he was that I was never going to talk to them again, and then he said that things weren't supposed to go that way the other day, and apologized for Mum putting my stuff outside. Apparently the plan was to talk to me about it first, but he said that Mum got caught up in her emotions. When I asked why he didn't step in, he said that it was because he didn't want to upset her anymore. I didn't really want to accept that excuse, but I took it so that we could move forward. That was until I got another call from my brother. Mum has been absolutely shit-talking me to him and my sister. Apparently she kept comparing me to them and how good they are doing. Mind you, they're both older than me by several years. Then she went on a rant about how much harder it's been to raise me compared to them. At one point, he says that she even insinuated that I was a mistake, though he says to take that with a grain of salt, as she didn't outright say it. My brother was uncomfortable with listening to her talk about me so harshly, and he decided to call and tell me. I'm feeling a mix of emotions about all this right now. Part of me is still mad about the whole suddenly kicking me out thing, but I'm mostly just sad about it all. Knowing that my mum is saying all of this stuff behind my back only makes me think that she really means it, and whether she outright said it or not, hearing that she thinks I'm a mistake honestly crushed my soul. I don't understand why, but I guess she has her reasons. I don't really want to talk to her again, but I do really want to know the truth of why she feels this way about me. I'm not sure about Dad yet. I'm not the type to cut people off, and having to do it to one person is already too much for me. I'm still staying with my friend as of now until I figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'll see how it goes from here. In the comments, Difficult Bed says, "Not the asshole." This really broke my heart to read. No one deserves to hear that kind of stuff from their own mum. Don't blame yourself. Sometimes people project their pain in the ugliest ways. Sending you so much love right now. Honestly, it just sounds like OP's mother is an absolutely nasty woman, and his father sounds utterly pathetic. OP, cut them off or out of your life. If they want to genuinely apologize and actually feel remorse, tell them that this is the only way that you'll have a relationship with them. You're doing amazing for a 21-year-old, and I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Your dad is spineless, his apology is hollow, and if his wife told him to stop communicating with you, have zero doubt that he would roll over and show his belly. Your post history shows the kind of people they are and just how little they want to hold themselves accountable. Not the asshole here. Also happened to me. Do you have a plan? OP says, not yet. Before they kicked me out, my plan was to get an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in a couple of months, but I'm not sure how that will go since I now need a new place to stay for now. My friend said that I can be at his place as long as I need, but I really don't want to intrude on his space for too long. Marshall Cook replies, you need to lean on those that you can. Just show your eternal gratitude. Stay out of their way, clean up any mess you can, and if you have anything, offer to pay what you can. Expression Little says, not to speculate, but are you sure that you're your dad's bio kid? The way your mum said you were a mistake is troubling. OP says, as far as I know, I am. I have things that were passed down from him, so unless my mum found someone with surprisingly similar genetics, I think it's unlikely that I'm not his kid. Look, I get it. I understand why OP is still talking to their father. Yes, it is hard cutting people off, and I'm guessing he meant he already cut someone else off, as in he's completely cut his mother out of his life. But it's so sad to see that he's still talking to Dad, because has he not learnt that if Mum says jump, he says how high? Maybe it is true that Dad realizes the error of his ways and that he still wants a relationship with his son, but Dad doesn't recognize that no matter what, his wife always will come first and he will never stand up to her. And that OP's dad will hurt OP in the future no matter what. It's just an inevitability. If OP's dad had any self-respect, he'd be sorting this out with his wife and coming to a reasonable middle ground with her, or he would stay away from OP. He would respect OP's space. Unfortunately, this is one of those boundary-keeping lessons that OP is going to have to learn the hard way to keep Dad out of his life as well. When Dad finally burns OP is going to be like, no more chances, I'm not letting this ever happen again. I've learnt my lesson. I now understand that I need to give these two no chances. That may happen soon. That may happen off in the future. Who knows? But when and if that happens, OP, please come back with another update and tell us what you've learnt. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.